I am a typhoid survivor. By that I mean typhoid made holes in my intestine and literally cut parts of it. I have never been down with typhoid before then. That was the first time that I had typhoid fever. I was asking my mom what happened. My mom was not answering me. She was just crying. Women filled up our house, like people were consoling my mom. It's not the end of the world and all that. I was literally trying to pinch myself. Am I dead? Like, what happened? Why is my mom crying? Why are people in the house consoling my mom? And why is my dad warming the car? I checked time, it was like past 4 a.m. And nurses really need to do better. Like, I was in pain, crying, shouting, my tummy was getting bigger, and nurses were there chewing gum. Nobody was giving me attention or anything. I used to see this thing in Nollywood. I thought it was just a movie, but obviously it's not, because I've experienced it. Please, if you're a nurse, if you know you're not God-fearing, don't apply nursing. Anybody in medical line should have compassion, to be honest. Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time being here, hi, hello and welcome. If this is not your first time being here, you know that I love you so much already. So today's topic is a very emotional one, and I don't know, I'm already feeling nervous making this topic, but I just hope I won't break down. Okay, so we'll be talking about my hospital story, how I spent weeks in coma, months in the hospital. And this is due to something that people might think is very little. You know, a lot of people trivialize illnesses like malaria, typhoid, headache, stomach pain and all that. When you hear cancer, HIV, hypertension, hepatitis and all that, people will now freak. But when they hear typhoid, oh sorry, just go and take injection, go and buy drug in the pharmacy. Sometimes it's not always like that. I am a typhoid survivor. By that I mean typhoid made holes in my intestine and literally cut parts of it. But glory be to God, I'm here, I'm still alive, and it's been amazing since after the surgery. I've never gone back to the hospital for another thing related to typhoid again, aside from maybe just normal little typhoid fever and all that, but not hospital again, like surgery sending me back to hospital and all that. No. Alright, so let's begin the story. So it all started in 2008. Before then, I have never had issues with typhoid. This is not to say that I've been falling ill with typhoid, but I've neglected it. I have never been down with typhoid before then. That was the first time that I had typhoid fever. You know, my parents took me to the hospital, and then as usual now, they admitted me. They said I needed drip. They put few drips. I think I slept in the hospital for like 2 days, just 2 nights. Then they discharged me. So normally, when they discharge you after a week, you're supposed to come back for medical checkup, right? So I was supposed to come back for medical checkup on a Saturday. Then Friday, when we went back home with my mom, Friday I couldn't. A whole lot of things were just going on wrong with me. My tummy was aching. I was literally like purging. Then I was very little, not really very little, but I was still a child. So as usual now, people just advised my parents, no, just go to the chemist, get Flagyl for her so that the purging will stop. That was how my dad went and bought Flagyl for me. And the day my dad bought that Flagyl for me, for like 3 days I didn't use the restroom. I was just there, not knowing that the typhoid really made holes in my intestine, so everything I was eating cannot go down. It was entering into my intestine, then coming out through the hole, then storing back inside my stomach, but it wasn't going out of my body. Oh, fast forward to Friday night, that's the night before the day of my medical checkup. I was seriously crying. I was having serious tummy aches and all that. So my mom was like, Kai, since tomorrow is the medical checkup, let me just take this girl to the hospital and explain to the doctor what happened. That's our family doctor, actually. It was a private hospital. So she took me there in the night. He gave me one white thing. I don't know if it's the same thing they give ulcer patients. He gave me one white liquid like that. I drank and it was a bit better. It helped me because I was in serious pain. I was seriously crying. Like, I can still imagine, I can still feel the pain even right now as I'm speaking. It was very, very painful. So when he gave me the liquid, the white liquid, I drank and I was much better. Then he took me in for ultrasound. After the ultrasound, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know whether I was sleeping. I saw myself back home. My mom was crying. I was asking my mom what happened. My mom was not answering me. She was just crying. In the morning, as early as 4 a.m., my dad's there warming car. Then we're in Kaduna State in Kafanchan. So my dad was warming car around past 4 a.m. Women filled up our house. Like, people were consoling my mom. It's not the end of the world and all that. I was literally trying to pinch myself. Am I dead? Like, what happened? Why is my mom crying? Why are people in the house consoling my mom? And why is my dad warming the car? I checked time. It was like past 4 a.m. Mind you, all those things were happening. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't walk. I was just there on the bed reading. So I was just looking at the clock like, what's happening? Am I dead? I was calling my mom. My mom wasn't even answering me, as if nobody could hear me. Nobody was even coming to, maybe hold me. Because if someone was coming to hold me, it would have consoled me. It would have been like, okay, I'm still alive. But nobody was talking to me. They were just consoling my mom, trying to talk to my dad outside and all that. I seriously thought it was my spirit that was lying there. I thought I was dead. Then all of a sudden, my mom came with some few women. They lifted me up. They carried me, took me into the car. They laid me behind. That was when I just knew that, okay, I'm not dead yet. So they put me down, like laid me down. And then my dad sat on the driver's seat. Obviously, he was the one to drive. My mom was beside him. My dad said driving. I had no idea where they were taking me to. But at least I know that since they came and carried me. But another thing, I don't know whether it was mortuary they were taking me to. Like, I was so scared because nobody was saying anything to me. My mom was just crying, and all that. So they took me to Jos. That was how my dad drove from Kaduna State to Jos. When they took me there, the first doctor that accepted me, very nice person, he accepted me. He was even a maternity doctor, but I think the doctors for the surgeons were not on seat, so he accepted. He signed some documents and all that. They now admitted me. So when the surgeons came, they checked me out and we're like, okay, that was Saturday morning. They checked me out and they said, okay, her surgery is booked for Monday, so you all should go and make a donation. Sorry, not donation, deposit of so amount. My parents went, they made the deposit. So now, normal, they put drip for me and all that. The whole of Saturday, I was just on drip. Then Sunday, my tummy started swelling. Obviously, every food I was eating wasn't going down, so it was coming out through the holes from my intestine and then to get stored in my tummy. So my tummy started swelling. And then the hospital is John Kwanu, Jos, Ekwa Evangelical Hospital in Jos. So most of the doctors and nurses were pastors. Sunday morning, I did not see them. That's one thing that I had against that hospital. Sunday morning, they literally disappeared. Like, I don't know where they went to. Everybody carried his or her Bible and went to church and all that, as if all of them were pastors. So my mom waited. She kept on waiting. Just a few nurses. And nurses, you really need to do better. Like, I was in pain, crying, shouting. My tummy was getting bigger. And nurses were there chewing gum. Nobody was giving me attention or anything. I used to see this thing in Nollywood. I thought it was just a movie, but obviously it's not, because I've experienced it. Please, if you're a nurse, if you know you're not God-fearing, don't apply nursing. Anybody in medical line should have compassion, to be honest. So that was how my mom now waited till afternoon, around 1 p.m. She now saw one doctor passed. She now stopped him. She was not the doctor with my file, but she just stopped him and told him, sir, this is it though. My daughter's surgery is supposed to be the following day, but look at her tummy. Like literally, my tummy was almost like 9 months pregnancy. So she was like, look at my daughter's tummy. The doctor now freaked immediately. He saw me. He now asked, is she pregnant? Said no, she's not pregnant. I was tempted to say my age then, but I wasn't up to the age of getting pregnant that time itself. So she just said no, they said it's typhoid perforation. So that's how the doctor now started shouting at the nurses that they should bring syringe. They brought syringe, literally put the syringe inside my stomach, drew it, and the fluid inside was green color. So he just started shouting at the nurses, if this was your sister, will you allow her to still be lying down here? None of you could notify that there is an emergency case and all that. He was seriously shouting at them. So they kept quiet as usual. Now, sorry doctor, this is just trying to make excuses. Next thing I heard is, prepare the theater, there's an emergency surgery that is going to take place. Emergency surgery. Bear in mind that I did not even know I was supposed to have a surgery. I was supposed to undergo a surgery because my mom didn't tell me anything. I was hearing for the first time when he came that my surgery is supposed to be the following day. Then all of a sudden I'm hearing prepare theater. So that was how I started crying. You know, doctors now, he'd not even look at me. I was just crying. He asked my mom, did she take anything? And my mom now said, yes, I gave her cornflakes this morning. Since they said you're not supposed to give a patient that is booked for surgery food, like how many hours to the surgery. So she gave me cornflakes thinking the surgery was supposed to be the following day. This is how these people now came with one rubber like this. They started pushing it from my nose. I was literally telling my mom, mommy, I would die. My mom started crying. She was telling me, please, I should not do this to her. I've not entered surgery. I've not entered theater yet, and I'm telling her I would die. They pushed this rubber. Those of you that complain of corona tests, guys, they pushed rubber from my nose down to my throat into my stomach like a long tube. They kept on pushing from my nose down into my throat, into my stomach, that it was supposed to pull out the cornflakes. Those of you that are medical practitioners, I don't know the name of that. Maybe you'll tell me the name later. So that was how they put it there. I thought they were just going to draw it, but they didn't. They just left it there. And then there's like something like a drip that is attached to the tube. So it was drawing it out. The thing was not coming out into the, will I say, leather now or something. Then they now had to put catheter for me. I don't know the English word for catheter, but that thing that they put for people that cannot stand up to urinate. So the urine is passing through the tube. That was how they now said, theater is filled up. Oh, there's a guy that they're doing brain surgery, major theater. I think there's major theater and minor theater. So my own surgery was supposed to be a major surgery. So I think the minor theater is for appendix and CS. CS, it was there that I found out that CS is a minor surgery. So they said the major theater is filled up. Someone is undergoing a brain surgery. So they now told me that the surgery is supposed to be by 9 o'clock. So they gave me something to calm me down, injection, because I was always in pain like every minute. So I think around 9 o'clock, I kept on asking my mom, what's the time? My mom would tell me. My mom just kept on praying and crying and all that. It was not funny. I feel like if not for the physical pain that I was enduring, my mom was in pain much more than I was, because the emotional trauma was bad. And my dad had to go back home because it was just my elder sister that was at home. Then she was in SS3. She was preparing for WAEC. So my dad had to go back home. He can't leave her in the house alone. So they were at home, 2 of them, and then I was together with my mom. I remember that my maths teacher, then I was in JS2 first term, my maths teacher followed me from school on bike. He rode bike to Jos because I was his best student. Yes, it's a time for me to brag. I was a very good maths student. Like, I was literally the best. You can ask, some of my teachers are watching my videos. I bagged awards for maths and other subjects. So my maths teacher had to, he rode bike from Kaduna State to Jos, and he wanted to sleep. So when my parents were now going, my dad was now like, no, don't worry, just should be fine, don't worry, just come, let's go. So I think my dad drove with him back. I don't know how he went back, but probably they put the bike inside the car and then he now drove together with him or something, I don't know. So 9 o'clock, they said they were not done with the surgery. Then around 9:30, nurses now came and picked me up. Like, they literally had to carry me, like 4 nurses. 2 people were close to my head, around my shoulder, both sides. 2 people were around my leg, both sides. They lifted me up like I was flat. I was completely flat. I couldn't bend because my stomach was like this. They now put me on top of that thing that they used to push. Permit me, I'm not a medical practitioner, so I don't know the names of the stuff. Is it stretcher or something? They now pushed me there, took me to the theater. Guys, I saw a handsome doctor. His name is Dr. Sule. I can remember this guy was tall, he was dark, he was handsome. Immediately I entered, I was like, I like you. All of them busted into laughter. You know, I said, in your condition, with the pain you're going through, you are still crushing on someone. And I was like, yes, I like you so much. So he just laughed. He now said, I like you too, but do me a favor, get well soon for me. I told him I will. They put first anesthesia for me. They injected me the first time. But they should not think. My eyes were bright. Second anesthesia, my eyes were still bright. I don't know if it is something of O positive, but my blood group is O positive and I'm AA. So I don't know what happened. First anesthesia, nothing. Second anesthesia, nothing. Then I had to use one mask. They put it on my nose and they were literally pressing my nose. Then that was when I now started going. They were calling my name. I was answering them slowly. Then later on, I couldn't answer again. That surgery began like 9:30. Before they brought me out of theater, my mom said it was around 2:40. That was like 5 hours in theater. Immediately, they brought me out. Now, the remaining part of the story is what my mom told me because I was unconscious. They had to rush me to ICU, oxygen, coma for weeks. My mom was not seeing me. They would tell her that I'm in a critical condition and she cannot come in. The doctors that were coming in were literally looking like those that are treating Ebola patients. They have to wear cover from head to toe with boots and all that. Like, it was a serious place. I don't know if it was only Jonkwan or the whole every hospital have that kind of place. So that was how the doctors were not wearing normal doctor clothes. They have to change before they enter because it was a critical, like any small thing can get infected. So I was in coma for weeks, and according to my mom, they said that nobody can enter. So imagine you are nursing your daughter, you wake up in the morning, take your bath, sit down, pray, cry for days, for weeks, you can't see her. She said the only way she knew that I was alive is when they are pushing my oxygen cylinder, that there is name tag. So whenever she sees Sarah written on the oxygen cylinder, that's my tag. She knows that I'm still alive. That's how she'll be crying. They'll go and change oxygen. They said I don't have blood. My mom is B. I don't know whether B positive or what. So she couldn't give me blood. My uncle came. He gave me blood. My dad had to travel and come. He gave me blood. My dad begged. He wanted to see me. They didn't allow him to see me. So he gave me blood. That's how he went back home again without seeing me. Then finally, I opened my eyes. And then when I became conscious, I don't know how they did it, but they were washing my stomach. They didn't stitch the stomach. So they were washing my stomach every day. Nurses and doctors are trying, like, you will mess up the bed sheet because I couldn't even lift up my hand. My body was flat, straight, like I couldn't even turn my head like this. So they'll tell me, no, do everything on the bed sheet. Like, those set of people are amazing. Then they will now come and pull it off. There's a way they will just like try to lift. The nurses, like, I don't know, they are just blessed because it will take the grace of God, like someone who really has passion for people to do that. And that's not to say me, I was still a child as of that time, but then even adults, people of 40-something, 50-something were doing that, and they were cleaning them up and all that. God bless every doctor and nurse out there. You all are amazing, to be honest. Caring for people who are sick. Some people had worms coming out of their wounds, and you people clean it up and still hug them and all. Is really, really not an easy thing, to be honest. I celebrate you all. So that was it. When I regained consciousness, they now said they were going to bring me out of ICU and then take me to the theater to stitch the stomach. I don't know how they left the stomach open. I don't know whether they just stitched the inner skin or what. I don't know. So they now brought me out of oxygen, took me to the theater again. This time they didn't inject me because I heard that the injection they gave me double, and then that oxygen mask they used to press my nose was what made me unconscious. So they had to stitch me with my eyes open, but they just numbed the stomach. So when they numbed the stomach, I was just feeling like somebody was pinching me, but it was not that painful. They stitched me. They now said we have to go to private ward because of infection. They don't want me to be in the public ward, that's female ward. So that was how they moved me to private ward. After the stitches, they were looking for where to put blood for me. I was literally looking like a skeleton. That's why when I see donations for people who are going through bodily sickness, like, I don't take it casually because I've been there. Like, you see all those pictures you see on flyers that you see people like skeleton, I was there. So I seriously can relate. There was no place they could put. My hands were very swollen, just the hands. My hands were literally the fattest place in my body. Everywhere, just my head, my skull, everywhere was skinny. My bones, you can see my ribs and all that. So my hands were swollen because one side was drip when I was in coma and the other side was blood. So they tried to look for vein. The veins disappeared. No vein on my hand. Look for vein on the leg. No vein. They had to put drip for me on my head. I remember my cousin was there. My mom was crying when they were busy trying to look for. They pricked me more than 20 times. They were looking for a vein. My mom was crying. All the pain that this girl have gone through, I thought it would be over by now. She couldn't look at me. She turned. So my cousin was the one that held me. And Timina, very fine, my fine cousin. She's a pilot. So then she was serving. She was doing her NYC in Jos. So she held me like tightly. That was how they were busy trying to. I didn't even have strength to cry. I was just there as if I was lifeless. So later on, they now had to put injection on my head. They had to barb my hair. Took me to private ward. That was how I started recuperating a little bit. Then physiotherapy started. That thing is very painful, guys. The first time they lifted me up, after like how many weeks I've been flat, my whole blood has been down. So lifting me up for the first time, it was as if they were going to kill me. That pain is just so unbearable. Like, I remember crying. I couldn't even shout because of my stomach, the wound there. And they just said yes, they needed to lift me up. That was just the first day. So I'm not going to walk, I'm not going to sit down. They just wanted to lift me up so that at least the blood will, adjust. You know when you keep something for long, like kunu or zobo, lying down on the fridge, imagine keeping it for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden you now want to come and lift it up. It must have gotten frozen. So it was not funny. They now started coming one by one, like every day. The first time they just lifted me up. Second time they lifted me up and sat me down on a plastic chair. The third day they wanted me to take one step forward, one step backward. That's how I stay every day. They will come and help me walk, and I stay walking with them by my side. Actually, somebody will hold me here, another person here. Glory be to God. So that was it. And then after that, basically I started learning how to work again. They will come every morning and evening. They will clean the wound, they will open it, wash the wound and all that. Then after like 2 weeks more, or is it 3 weeks more, they now took me back to female ward. They said, okay, I'm not that sensitive to, I'm not that prone to infection any longer. They now took me back to private female ward, because that private ward was running the money, and I don't want to mention the money that my parents paid, but as of 2008 it was in millions. So you can imagine how much to be right now. Like, is well. Is well. So, and that's not to say, before people now start assuming, no, you're from a rich home, as of 2008 your parents had millions to pay for hospital bill. When there is no option, that money will come out, and then I might make a different video about how God helped us to raise that money. But basically it was not my parents that even paid the money. So after that, you know, I started getting stronger. They now came to lose stitches. That day, the whole of Jankwano heard my voice because I cried. They didn't numb the stomach, like it was as if they were pulling out my intestine. You know, it's not these conventional stitches now that once they do it, it will melt inside your stomach. That was rubber that you have to use like something like a clip, pull it, then use like a scissors to cut it. Like, kai, it was not funny. I suffered, guys. I suffered. So when you see me carrying Jesus on my head, some people be saying, she's behaving, she's claiming holy and all that. He reached to carry Jesus. If I can tattoo Jesus' name on my forehead, I will, because that Savior was amazing. If you can call Jesus different names, the first name I'll call him is my healer, because that is who he is to me. Like, it was not funny. Saying this testimony has now made me realize that I've been ungrateful all this while, because there are a lot of things that I wanted, and then it looks as if I was like, God, please, why can't I have this and all that. I remember when I was out of hospital and I told God, even if you don't ever do anything for me, this is enough, because I'm living a second life practically. But you know, now human feelings, human nature, I still wanted admission. I complained, I cried. They didn't give me the course I want. I complained and cried and everything. But I'm really grateful to God, because I don't deserve to be alive right now. None of us deserve to be alive. But me, personally, I'm not supposed to be sitting down here. It's just by the mercies of God. Alright? So that's how they now discharged me when I got better. After they discharged me, people of God, 2 weeks later, surgery opened. I don't want to say to be continued, God forbid. I will finish this video. I'll finish it in this video. I don't even want to say a lot of things, but the surgery opened. They had to take me back, but this time not to Jankwano Jos, not to Ekwa Evangelical Hospital in Jos. My doctor, our family doctor that's in the private hospital, he took care of that. So everything now became normal. And after then, it's really been amazing. God has been faithful. I've not had any problem with the surgery and all that. Guys, please don't neglect anything. In my own case, I didn't, because that was my first time of going down with typhoid fever. But please don't ever look at any sickness as if it's minute. Someone is telling you I have headache and you're just looking at him as, it's not just headache, I beg, go and wash your clothes or something. You have your roommate that's telling you I'm having headache. If you can help, cook for the person and give the person, because you don't have an idea why that headache is there. It could be a symptom of something more grievous. So please don't neglect. Don't think it's only cancer and diabetes and HIV that are big sicknesses. There are sicknesses that can silence. Have you not heard of someone who complained of stomach pain around 9 p.m. and the person didn't wake up the following morning? And there's some people that have HIV. They are fatter than us. Now, even with the drugs, the new drugs that they've given, they are fatter than us right now. I know people that literally are living with AIDS for the past more than 15 years, and they're even looking fresher than I am. See, please don't neglect anything, and just know that God is faithful. This testimony is not for anything. It's just for you all to know that sometimes when we smile, it's not as if we have it all. I've heard people saying, you don't have a problem. Oh, I do. Or people say, you will not understand. If you've passed through what I've passed through, you probably will be the one that I should be saying you will not understand. But just know that God is faithful in everything. He's really, really an amazing God. And he's there to listen to your prayers. There are some things that I probably did not mention, but this is just to tell you all that God is still very much available to hear you pray and cry. I have decided that in this life I will not suffer again, because this is enough. I've carried all this the sickness that my children were supposed to suffer, like everything. I've packed it up. That's why you need to be prayerful, because right now the devil can't try that again, because I was still a baby. I didn't have that fire or power that could stop that nonsense he tried with me in 2008. That was why he could do that. But right now, not on me again, not on anyone that is related to me, not on the kids that will come out from my womb. And you all know that I love you so much. This video is very long, but I believe it was worth it. Always give God thanks, because people are going through things that are much more grievous than what you're going through. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. Please like the video if this encouraged you. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and you know that I love you so much. Thank you. Bye. Don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself. You're strong. You cannot cry right now. You're making a video. You can't cry in Jesus' name. I have the strength of the Lord. I'm not going to cry.